Welcome to the Imperfect Dads Podcast. This is your host, Devin. We believe dads care deeply about their family and kids, but they don't always have a space to discuss what their life looks like. Our podcast is a space for dads to discuss the ups and downs of fatherhood and how they feel like they're holding it together or how they're not. Thank you for joining us for this episode. This podcast is part of the Never a Face Network. Make sure to follow them on Instagram or go to the website neverafacenetwork.com. On this episode, we have a musician, Thomas Csorba. We talked about his life with 2 sons and expecting a daughter, minivan versus third-row SUV, being mentally present for his kids, supporting his wife's art career, balancing his business and creative mental spaces, recording new music, how he wrote his new album, the quiet moments of day-to-day life, a love of Wendell Barry poetry, and how he handles touring with family life. Thomas's new album, Tender Country, is out on May 22nd this year. It's an album where he explores the quieter moments of everyday family life and his love and gratitude of them. Just like one more thing.
Dad, just start the episode.
Oh, my bad. I'll start with the most basic first question, which is, how many kids do you have? Ages, all that good stuff.
I love it. We've got 2 boys. Oldest is almost 4. He turns 4 here in July. I don't know when this will be released. But yeah, almost 4-year-old and about a 1.5-year-old. And then we've got a third on the way.
Oh.
We're just entered into the second trimester with a little girl. We're
Nice.
Yeah, we're stoked. But yeah, we're growing a little crew over here. It's been a blast.
Have you bought the minivan yet? Are you like third or SUV? Are you minivan? Which team are you on? You got to decide, man.
My wife drives an old Tahoe. I have toured since 2020 Tacoma, and
Okay, yeah.
I've put like 150,000 miles on that thing. And the second row is a little too tight for 3 car seats, so there may be a change coming soon.
Yeah.
But no decision has been made yet.
You still got time. You got time and you got this. So you'll figure it out. I have 3 as well. I have a 10-year-old daughter, 8-year-old daughter, and a 4-year-old son. And yeah,
Awesome.
the third one was like, okay, we have like a Hyundai Sonata. And it's like, you can't fit 3 car seats in this car, man.
Yeah,
Like, this car
yeah.
is no longer functional. And that's
Yeah.
always my favorite question to ask someone when they're like, I'm about to have a third. I'm like, you going third or SUV? You going, like, you driving a boat? What are you doing? How are you going to fit all those kids in one car?
It's hard. Even the Tahoe, it seems huge, but once you pop that third row up, you can't put anything in there.
Yep. You can't. Nope.
And my mom was a Suburban gal. She had just a series of different colored Suburbans throughout her life. Back when those were like achievable cars,
Yes.
now these Chevys are so expensive, all the bells and whistles.
Yep.
But we're figuring it out.
Yep. It was I remember like we rented a van once for whatever reason. Maybe we're on vacation. And yeah, like we thought, oh, it's going to be so much room. And then you put all the suitcases in the trunk and you're like, oh, actually, no, it's still
Yeah.
5 people in one car is a lot of people. It doesn't matter what type of car you have. It's a lot of people to account for.
Yeah, we do. My wife's a painter, and she has 2 big art shows every year, one in the fall and one in the spring. And she paints these big Western kind of, oil on canvas. And she's really good and has these massive 6-foot canvases. And we
Yeah.
started renting a van every year or every show for that big road trip, bring all of our stuff down to the hill country. And our oldest, he just loves the van. Like, he just wants to play in the van, hang out.
Yeah.
It's a treat to have that much real estate on the road. But then we've got, some of our best friends have 5 girls, and
What, dude?
yeah, he's the best. I mean, such dear friends,
Yeah.
and he played football at University of Texas and got drafted to play for the Ravens. Like, the dude he's an ox of a human being, and all he's wanted was a
Yeah.
son, and now has 4
Dude,
girls.
yeah, of course.
But they're the best, and they drive a big old Mercedes Sprinter van. He was like,
Dude.
we're not doing the minivan, we're jumping all the way.
Mm-hmm.
So road trips with them are crazy and fun.
Yeah.
They're a fun crew.
Yeah, I have a friend, his name's Ron Ortiz II, and yeah, his wife is his tour manager, and they have 5 kids. And yeah, they just live in a Sprinter van. And whenever they tour, they bring all the kids with them and stuff. And yeah, I'm like, I know they have to have a system of some sort where everything makes sense. But
Yeah.
on the outside, I see that many kids piling into one van, and I'm like, that makes me anxious. I know you guys know what you're doing, but that's a lot of kids in one car to keep entertained and sane.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, with my touring stuff, and I'm sure you've talked about this, I'm buds with some people you've had on the podcast. I listened to your interview with Tony Camel, who's a close friend.
He's a great dude. Yeah.
A lot of people probably talk about this, but there's such a balance between that like normal, structured, I say normal. But I'm a creative, but I'm a pretty structured guy, pretty business minded and pretty task oriented. Not this like, freewheeling, brooding songwriter like maybe the stereotype is.
Yeah.
And as my kids get older, I certainly want to disrupt less of their weekly flow. And some of that's inevitable, but the older they get, we're kind of in that zone where you kind of can't bring them, when they're baby, they'll sleep a lot in the car, but 3.5, when you're potty trained and you're, having to take rest stops and, we've got boys, so we do some potty breaks on the side of the highway every once in a while.
Yep.
But, yeah, it's an interesting thing. I've been doing a lot of weekend warrior stuff and 5 days max at a time. And usually it's better for all of us if they just stay home and stay part of their weekly flow,
Yeah. I think it's easy to think like it's romantic or fun or it's a big adventure to be like, hey, everyone, let's go on the road. We're doing this all together. We're a family. We got this. And then whenever it takes like a week for everyone to reset because you just disrupted all of the order that you spend all your energy to make, then it's like, it's not that it's not worth it. It is worth it to do it. But it is kind of like, I need to remember this week of resetting everyone, of getting everyone back into the rhythm as much as the excitement of having my whole family with me.
Yeah, and we're down for a road trip. Like my grandmother turns 90 this weekend, so we're going down to Houston.
That's awesome.
With all of her great grandkids. There are probably 15 of them around the country at this point. We're all getting together for a big family reunion. And
that's cool.
Our boys do good in the car, and I'm very grateful. My wife and I have to remind ourselves that we've been given so much of what we prayed for. And there are moments that you can complain about the travel or about the disrupted nature of our jobs, but it's really good. My kids get to grow up and know that daddy's work is going to share music with people and mommy's work is creating beautiful art. And that's a really fun position to be in. And it'll be interesting to see how my boys and this new girl view that as adults. It's like my parents were crazy or, this was a really sweet thing. I'm sure a little bit of both.
Yeah. It will be. We try to always lead with like just talking to our kids like they can understand us and like they're adults to some extent, and like being like, hey, here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing, or like I feel like we spend a lot of time explaining our intentions to our kids, and being like, hey, we're gonna like this summer. I'm originally from Indiana, so we're gonna spend like 2 weeks in Indiana. Then we're gonna spend like 2 weeks with my wife's family on the Philadelphia area. Like this summer's gonna have a lot of travel to it, which is a lot. Already the summer at home with 3 kids, a lot of like, how do I maintain a normal schedule whenever I'm trying to entertain 3 kids at home? I'm a stay-at-home parent, by the way. So I stay home with the kids. So whenever they're off school, I'm full-time, everything. So yeah, but we try to be like, all right, guys, this summer, here's what we're doing. Here's what we got. We want to be able to see, your dad's side of the family, your mom's side of the family. And here's who I all know will be there. And like, just almost over-explaining. So if anything, I hope my kids will be like, God, they just talk so much. They just wouldn't stop talking. My parents just explained everything to me. And I got it the first time and they kept on repeating it over and over and over.
Well, it's fun, around that, age 2.5, maybe 3, you see kind of the light turn on in their brains and they get it. Even my, oldest being able to pronounce Houston and know that certain grandparents live there and some live here, we go fishing in Colorado. It's like, he's understanding location with activity and it's fun to watch,
It's really exciting. My 4-year-old, he's 4.5, I guess. He would tell me he's 4.5. He's not 4. Like his critical thinking is like fascinating because like he will be like, you'll say like, my dad's in town to like help out with some stuff. And he was like, oh, grandpa's in town from Indiana. Did he fly here? Did he fly here to here? Because we told him like what a flight path was. And like, he remembered it and asked about it later. And I'm like,
so good.
One, you're listening to everything. That's good to know. And also I need to watch my mouth more. That's what I'm
doing. Totally. It's fun. It's really fun. And I mean, this season is crazy. And, especially this spring has been wild. My wife's art show in March, and that comes right on the tail of South by Southwest, which I always put on a showcase there. And more than just being an artist. I'm kind of producing some events, and I've got a record, coming out here at the end of May.
Mm-hmm.
It's a busy season and a lot of travel. And my wife and I keep telling ourselves, this is what we have kind of been asking for, and it's good. It's crazy, but if there's any time to be sleep deprived, if there's any time to be stretched, it's right now when we're, jumping from creative endeavor to creative endeavor to present dad, to present mom, like that's our focus right now. And I think that like aligned priority list, really helps me and my wife know, okay, this is what we say no to, this is what we say yes to. And each touring opportunity comes with a conversation, which is cool,
Yeah. And as the older I get, the more I realize like a family calendar, making sure you guys agree on stuff is necessary. But like you do have to almost sit down like, okay, cool. We said we value family time, but we also value our careers. I have a potential to go on a 2-week-long tour. Does that align with our values or not? If no, how do we have this? How do we work this out then?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm realizing, I'm almost 30 and have, I'm pretty young to have as many kids as I do. And I understand that. I round up a lot of my friends are older, just because it's stage of life stuff these days. That's kind of how a lot of your friends kind of come together, and the people you spend time with. But I think that the things I valued when I was 18, the things I thought that I wanted, I no longer want, or at least those are refined, right? Like I don't want to play 200 shows a year. I don't want to live out of my truck. I want to make eggs for the kids in the morning, I want to be there for bedtime. And so there's kind of this tension between ambition and maybe the dangling of the carrot that the industry and the transient world maybe tells me I want. But then there's the very sacred and very long-term and important moments around the kitchen table that are, quite frankly, so much more important. But blueberries are expensive, and I got to go sell tickets and T-shirts and records.
Yeah, I think Tony honestly was very honest about that whenever talking to me of like loving his trade, loving what he's doing, knowing he's good at it, but also loving his family more. So trying to figure out to like, all right, I want to make new music. I still have this desire to create, but also if it's at the expense of missing my family, that's not. I gotta figure out what this relationship is like, and like. I think no matter what your job is, you have a relationship with your career, and you got to figure out what it means to you.
Yeah, and not even missing my family. Yes, that's part of it. But when I was single and touring, I was saying no to certain things socially in order to go tour. I wasn't, when I was in college, I wasn't part of the college scene. A lot of my friends were entrepreneurs and postgrad and other musicians, and that was a path I took. That's a different calculation maybe than saying no to, the sacred things around the house. And so, my priorities have shifted certainly. But I really want to be 60 years old and have a stack of records that my kids get to look at and be like, this is what dad was up to. And there's a financial aspect there. I know that in order to keep making records, I've got to be shelling away some cash in order to go in the studio and make records the way I want to. So there's a kind of a tension there between how do I grow my business in order to achieve this long-term goal while also, trying to be home as much as possible. Yeah, those two things just kind of seem at odds with each other at some point, but that alignment between myself and my wife certainly helps.
Yeah, it does. And I think there's some like, I think the reason why some people do tour like 150 nights, 200 shows a year, or something like that, is because it does get your music out there. It does make people know who you are. It's logical to think, oh, the more I pour into this, the more my career will succeed. But also, though, like if it means you miss a lot of doctor's appointments or softball or baseball games on the weekend, like it's got to be another way to do this. So I'm sure it's really fun to figure that out, and I'm grateful that you have a good communication skills with your wife, in which because that's who it matters to most, is you and your wife figuring out what this looks like.
Yeah, and from a business perspective, have you interviewed or do you know Robert Ellis? He's a Texas guy.
No, that name sounds very familiar, but I've not talked to him. No.
Robert's phenomenal. He's a savant, just like one of these gifted people that can play any instrument. And he's produced a record for me, and a
Okay.
close musical collaborator, and he's got a few kids, and uh, we've talked about this a lot. There are people that, some friends of ours who tour so much that their business, their music business, is built on and contingent upon touring,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of dictate that. You can kind of dictate what the pie chart looks like financially or with your time. And I think there's a romanticized version of what we do that you must go do, I say 200 shows a year, or whatever, in order to make this thing work. But I'm kind of sitting here like, no, like I think there are other ways to, sustainably build a career. And I'm no longer, as I mentioned, my priorities aren't what they were when I was 18. I don't really want to be famous,
Yeah.
That's not the goal here. The goal is here to continue making music, and because I believe that's what I was made to do. And yes, I love the thrill of getting to play a song, getting to play a set in a room of people that haven't felt that way, or I get to share my perspective. But I that's not the end goal. Maybe it's selfish, but like I'm making music for me and my family at this point. And that's really different. So I'm kind of in process in trying to figure out exactly what that pie chart looks like. And, I want to be prolific. I want to be putting out a lot of music, but it's yet to be determined how I get to that 50, 60 year mark, that 20 record mark that I want to be at.
Do you know who Joe Pug is? Like the singer-songwriter
Yeah.
who's based out of Maryland?
Yeah.
So he pivoted. I think he's been doing his podcast for 10 years now. Where,
Mhm.
whenever I'm pretty sure he has 3 kids. That's why he started doing podcasting. He was like, I don't want to be on the road 100 nights a year. I mean, maybe 25, maybe 50, I can make that work. But like,
Right.
I got to figure out different revenue streams so I can make the music I want to make and be available for my family the way I want to be available for them. But it took a lot of intentionalities. Whenever I talked to him, it sounded like to be like, hey, this is like touring that much is not going to be sustainable if I want to still stay married and my kids to know who I am. So what are the other options? How else can I diversify, for lack of a better way to put it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think everybody's got their own path, and it's the Wild West again. Like
Mm-hmm.
I own all my music, and
Nice. Congrats.
that's it. Thank you. It's a hard path, but it's not that I've been offered some insane record deal from Atlantic or something, but that's kind of the path. And I think everybody, there's Joe Pug on one end of the spectrum who I really adore from afar, and I've gotten to spend some time with Joe, play some shows with him. And then there's like BJ Barham of American Aquarium, who's a great dad, but is playing a bunch of shows, and he's figured out how to make that work. Everybody's got their own path, and we live in an era where, there are side jobs, and, there are different ways to skin the cat, and you have to be very confident and at peace with yourself and maybe your own calculation in order to go down that road and figure out what works for you and your family.
Yep, pretty much. In relation to that, are you like holding off on tour or anything? I haven't looked at your tour dates. Are you trying to make sure that you're around for like, while your wife is pregnant, that you're around for like, the ultrasounds and all that stuff? Are you trying to make sure to be around in town, like based on those days and stuff?
Yeah, it's funny with the first kid, you're at every appointment, you're hearing about every feeling, every like, every tingle, everything, with the third one, it's a little bit different. I've been there for most of the appointments, and the big ones, anatomy scans and stuff. Those are big on the calendar. But I was in Austin on Monday for a day trip for some press stuff, and she had an appointment, and it's like, hey, call me immediately, good or bad. I know I can't be there, but so yeah, it's a little bit different this time around. But yeah, the big ones I'm there for sure. Luckily, I'm a big part of my life right now is that it's flexible. Here I am at 11:23 Central, and we're sitting here talking about creative endeavors and my life and stuff. I get to sit here and talk for an hour about myself. Like my kids are in daycare right now, and I'll get to be there to pick them up, and we'll go to the park after school, and I'll have some stuff to catch up on this evening after they go down. But I wouldn't have it any other way because I get to be there. So I have a lot of friends that work 9-to-5 jobs, make a lot more money than I do. I have to travel for work and see their kids a lot
Yeah.
less than I do.
Yeah.
Whereas you would think as a musician that you're always on the road and always,
Mm-hmm.
chasing this thing, but it's different maybe than maybe people expect.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I've talked to a couple dads about that also, where like, yeah, you might be gone or have like a busy touring month where like every weekend you're gone, but then you might have a month where you're home the entire time.
Yeah,
And like, so, but yeah, I also know people who work 70-hour work weeks because it's what
hmm
it takes to maintain their lifestyle. And sometimes it's honestly what a job requires of you, whether or not it's healthy or not.
and it works for some people. It's
It
just
does.
not how I'm
Yep.
wired. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yep. And I think that's like, to me, that's a really big part of being a parent is you do try stuff. You do try, what am I like whenever I do this? What's it like whenever I do this? And if you constantly feel dissonance inside yourself, if you constantly feel like, man, I'm not doing right by myself, by my family, my wife, figure out what the changes you can make are. Like, hey, how does this look different? And like, don't ignore that. If you feel that, man, this makes me feel like I'm not being who I'm meant to be, listen to that. Your body's screaming at you that something's wrong. See if you can make some changes.
yeah. Totally, totally. Yeah, it's cool. It's a different calculation, but you figured out you build the plane as you're flying it for sure.
Yeah. Pretty much. How do you feel about like having a girl? So we went girl, girl, boy, and whenever we found out we were pregnant with a boy, I think our first reaction was like, we can make boys. Like I didn't know. I thought it was only girls. I
Yeah.
didn't know. I didn't. This isn't possible. How do you feel about knowing you're gonna have a girl after having two boys?
Yeah, it's different. And my wife is so selfless and sweet. She keeps saying like, she's excited about what that means for me as a dad,
Yeah.
and as a person to get to have a girl and do daddy daughter stuff and,
Huh?
you know, all that. But we were hesitant to say that we wanted it to be a girl, I think,
Mhm.
but once we found out we were having a girl, we were, obviously over the moon. And obviously the first hope and prayer is that we'd have a healthy kiddo and
Mhm.
so box checked there, like everything's been great
Yeah.
on the scans and everything. But yeah, I mean, 3 boys would have been crazy and fun,
Yeah.
but it's kind of opened up my mind to like, whoa, there's a whole other world of activity. And,
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that have girls that I'm like, oh, we'll get to do stuff as dads with our daughters that maybe I
Yeah.
would have missed out on, with just having boys. So it's a huge, huge blessing and we're over the moon. We're so excited.
That's so
I'm
sweet.
excited to
Yeah.
I'm excited too what my boys will get to, I'm the youngest of 4. I've got 2 older sisters and an older brother. And so it was good for me, right, as a human to be around girls, in a
Mhm.
house and be around my older brother who was wrestling me and,
Yeah.
beating me up and, the ways that older brothers do. And it's exciting to see and to know that they'll get to be kind of caretakers and learn how to treat a girl
Yeah.
in their house,
Yeah. I feel like realistically where the most tension comes from is like whenever they try to choose a show. Because my son wants, if it has a train, a car, or anything like that, he's like, how do I watch this? How do I watch this? And they're like, no, we want to watch Babysitter's Club. We want to watch these like more drama,
Sure.
conversation filled things. And so that's a fun thing to negotiate sometimes. It's like, okay, tonight we watched whatever this more female focused show was. Tomorrow, Josh, then you get to choose what you, so like it's a
Yeah.
different, you already have to negotiate whenever you have kids with your kids
Yeah.
to keep
Yeah.
the peace. But then adding that aspect is just humorous to watch both my girls be like, I'm not watching a truck show tonight. I'm not doing it. And I'm just like, all
Totally.
right, what's the wiggle room here? Let's talk about it. Let's talk this through. Let's find the
Yeah.
solution, guys.
I forgot who I've heard this from, but there's some psychology just in the DNA of boys and girls of, boys are usually more drawn to things, and
Mhm.
like it's why there's usually more, by and large, most engineers are men, right? Is like,
Yeah.
there's just this thing that guys have to tinker and to fix things and whatever.
Yeah.
Girls seem to be more tailored towards people and relationships and
Yeah.
so that's probably why they're like, yeah, I want a drama. I
Yep.
want like a good story.
Yes.
Whereas like my boys are like monster trucks,
Yeah. Spidey and Friends.
Yeah, yeah. So it'll be cool to see how that kind of, all coalesces together. And I'm sure there'll be some fighting, but it'll be fun,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
To see how they interact with each other and die to themselves a little bit and have to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
selfless in certain ways and their
Yeah.
own interests or their own preferences.
Yeah. Pretty much. I think, I forget, I was talking to someone the other day of like, girls are like more willing to negotiate, but they remember everything that they were promised in the negotiation. And I feel like boys are a little easier to distract, to be like, okay, cool, you want to do this one thing? Let's go run outside real quick. Let's go run outside real quick.
I'll
But like if I
time you.
make a
Yeah.
promise to my girls, they'll be like, hey, no, no, no. Last night you said we were going to watch 35 minutes of such and such movie. And I'm like, you were correct. Those are the exact words I said. And now if I don't follow through, that creates a different problem. So yes, we are now watching it, and here we go.
Yeah. You gotta be careful what you promise around here.
You do.
But it's fun, and obviously we're learning a lot. I've this, not only you're raising kids, but you're watching your spouse kind of evolve and change, and
Mm-hmm.
you can be surprised a bit by your spouse just by circumstance, and you have to remember that nobody is stuck in their ways. We're all kind of evolving and all being changed by circumstance, and both for me, for my wife, and for each of our kids individually.
Yeah, I think comfort techniques is where it was like the immediate like ego check for me, because the comfort techniques my first kid liked, second kid hated. The comfort techniques my third kid liked, my first and second kid hated. So I think kids just keep you constantly curious, or just realizing like, hey, I thought this was the right thing to do. It clearly wasn't. So how do I figure out how to get back up there and try it again? Because that's the
Yeah.
type of person I want to be.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's super interesting. And we're all doing it for the first time. You can read every book,
Pretty much.
get every piece of advice, but in real time, you're figuring out what's the right thing to do and when and how to put your foot down and pick your battles. And
Mm-hmm.
it's you got to figure out while you're going.
Yep. And that hopefully you have the mental space and the time at the end of the day to like debrief with your wife or partner and be like, hey, whenever we came into that moment and this is how we dealt with it, that's how we wanted to deal with it, right? Because how you react in real time, you might look up later and be like, oh, I owe some apologies to some kids and
Yeah.
like stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I've got this. This record comes out at the end of May, and it's pretty. The record's called Tender Country, and it's
Mhm.
mostly, the spirit of it is, about kind of these sacred small moments around the house and the season of life. And one of the songs is called Homemade Margaritas, and it's about kind of that ritual of putting the kids down and having some intentional time with your spouse, and
Yeah.
be it a margarita or a cup of coffee or going on a walk or whatever. There are these rituals that I think are important and sacred
Mhm.
in our lives as parents, in order to kind of like remember that like I chose her, right, and she
Yeah.
chose me, and we're in control
Yeah.
of how this household is run, if we recognize it and if we act that way, right? And so, yeah, homemade margaritas is kind of a tongue-in-cheek way to talk about, that time of day when it's just us two,
Mhm.
and how to be intentional about that time. So maybe the only drinking song that's not about getting drunk or being sad,
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the record's kind of riddled with all these little moments like that. And who knows? I hope people listen to it and it resonates with them, but it also feels a little bit like, career suicide to put out a record as like unassuming and about like pretty real subject matter that's not like, straight country music, Gavin Adcock, Charlie Crockett, stuff that people are
Yeah.
eating up these days.
Well, I think like as someone who's listened to music for, my entire life, obsessed over it, listened to a lot of singer songwriters. As I get older, I'm 38, got 3 kids, getting older in life and everything. I'm more looking for the people who talk about day-to-day life stuff. Like I'm not
Yeah.
in a place in which like I'm not having my heart broken in a relationship. I'm not having like all this drama from that. I'm more like, all right, cool. My kids are running around outside chasing fireflies. That's
Yeah.
adorable. That's cute. Like where's the music for this time of life? Because I'm
Mhm.
not, there's drama in every single day, but it's like this quiet moment drama. It's the little fights between kids. It's the spats. And like, to me, that's real life. Like real life is the small moments.
Yeah. And I've found as a music listener that, what do I listen to and what do I want to listen to? What am I folding laundry to and doing dishes to?
Huh?
Right.
Yeah.
And there's such a magic in these mundane things, right?
Mhm.
Like these household chores, or like calendar management, or like putting kids down and reconnecting with them. There's so much magic in those moments. And I feel like this record is kind of double clicking into those little things. Say like, oh no, people feel this, and it's worth embracing and recognizing,
Yeah.
I think it's pretty meaningful and pretty, I think I'll be proud of it long term. Hopefully some people listen to it and buy the record. And maybe unluckily the demographic this record appeals to are not like concert goers necessarily or ticket buyers. Because you got to get babysitters and
You do, man. Yeah.
do the whole thing. So, and I've made it a point at my shows to thank people. It's like, did anybody get a babysitter tonight? Because I didn't realize how big a deal it was to go to a show until I had kids. And
It is.
there's a lot of coordination.
Yeah.
It's always fun, to be that for parents when they get to come to a show and it's their respite. It's their time to, reconnect and go see some live music.
Yeah. I think the quiet day-to-day moments, keeping a routine, maintaining a house is filled with a very unique depth of love. So like songs about it is like really, really cool to me because I think there's so much depth there. It's very easy to get mentally in like oh man, this is really mundane. I have to fold more laundry. I have to go to the grocery store again. I'm like, yeah, for your family, for your wife, for yourself. Like there's so much you're building every single time you do those little actions. And I think there's such a beauty and depth there that's very easy to overlook because it's not always the most exciting. Like because you're doing just stuff to maintain a little bit, but I think there's a lot of beauty to it.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Wendell Barry, who's a writer?
Yep.
I'm a big Wendell Barry fan, and he's got this quote I've always carried around with me. He says, "There are no unsacred places. There are sacred places, and there are desecrated places." And that's something that my wife and I really try to embody is that that moment around the kitchen table, bedtime, walking to school, heck, being in the car and sitting in traffic with kids that are screaming is like, that is a sacred endeavor if you choose it to be.
Yep.
And it's a sacred place. And so I think that's been a guiding light in ways. It certainly brings a level of gratitude and a level of intentionality to all these little things that we do. And even folding laundry is like, I'm not going to get to fold laundry for these boys forever,
Yeah.
And so when I'm doing it, it's an action of love and intentionality. And I think it means something to do it well. And, our oldest son, he wakes up in the morning and he's in a big boy bed now. And he's got a little light in his corner on his sound machine that turns green when he's allowed to come out of his room. And we never taught him to do this. He's just wired this way. He wakes up and puts his clothes on for the day and comes downstairs. Usually it's like the worst outfit you've ever seen, like green sandals, green shorts, and an orange shirt. It's awful, but it's so cute and so, you get to see his personality a little bit. But I think there's something there with if I'm going to care about how we fold our laundry, how we hang our clothes, he then will take pride in the manner in which he keeps his room and the manner in which he dresses himself and carries himself and speaks to adults and all these things. That intentionality certainly bubbles over in a way that, shows up by example, I think, more than just telling them. I think both are important, but mom and dad being intentional in everything they do certainly helps your kids understand that the little things matter,
Yeah. And it is like the immediate realization of your kids are watching everything you do. So you're standing in line at the grocery store. How do you treat people whenever you're frustrated that things aren't moving faster? How's your body language? How's your tone? How's every aspect of you? Is you are teaching your kid what's acceptable and what's normal. And some days you're afraid and you don't have it in you to know how to be a little bit kinder. But hopefully for the most part, you are aware of the example you're setting constantly and setting one that's worth following.
Yeah, it's easy to rush from thing to thing. And we got to go drop off school, or we got to go pick up this thing, or we got to run this errand, or even let's rush to bedtime. How do we kill an hour before, these kids are driving me crazy, right?
Yeah.
And if you can embrace the idea, I heard a stat the other day that toddler, baby to toddler stage will only take up 2% of your life as a parent.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, oh, geez, I better soak it up.
Yep.
Embracing that kind of the finite aspect of each stage of these our kids' lives and our relationship with them as parents, right? Makes you really want to make the best of it and kind of use everything as a beautiful and magic moment, right?
Yeah.
So it's certainly something I'm learning you know?
Yeah, it makes me want to learn more about like child psychology, because whenever I'm frustrated with the kid, it's like, why don't you understand this? And then I'm like, well, developmentally, where are they? Like, are you setting a
Yeah.
realistic expectation of them? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
your 4-year-old can only conceptualize the world so much. My 4-year-old can only conceptualize the world so much. So am I understanding where they are? And once I put more energy into that, then I'm like, oh, now I understand why you're acting the way you are. You do want
Yeah.
control. You are exploring your own ego because you just found out you have the ability to control something. So you're intrigued to know what this looks like. So they aren't, I don't view that as like, well, I mean, sometimes it's defiance, but like for the most part, like, no, you're just understanding what your relationship with this aspect of a personality is. And once I understand that, then I know how to talk to them a little bit better, as
Yeah.
opposed to me just being like, no, I'm the one who needs control here. And it's like, you already are in control. You're the dad. So stop it.
Yeah.
Like, get
Yeah,
it together.
totally. Totally. Yeah, that's cool to think about. It's a crazy, big, and interesting process. It was just right smack
Yeah,
dab in the middle of it. Figure it out, you know?
pretty much. Before we wrap up and everything, anything you want to say? I mean, you already said quite a bit about your album. I guess the main question I would want to ask you about is like, how'd you record it? Like, did you go into a studio to record it? Do you have a home set up? How'd you actually like
Yeah.
find the time to record an album as a dad?
It's a great question. I like making records kind of old school with the whole band in the room.
Yeah.
And I've produced this record myself. I say that with an asterisk just because, you know, I had such amazing players, people who have, you know, my guitar player and keys player both have produced records for other people. And one of them, you know, Robert produced a record for me. And so there was certainly I had a lot of help. I made a record it's a studio out in Fort Worth called Niles City. This wonderful old, I say old, it's just old style, right? Like fantastic vintage gear and one big great room where the band can play. And then I'm up in kind of the elevated control room with the engineer recording my vocal and acoustic separately. I did a lot of the pre-production myself, which is basically editing songs, understanding kind of a general direction for arrangement and stuff. I've made a record like this before. You're doing 1 or 2 songs a day. You know, it takes a week to get, you know, you're blocking out a lot of time. I booked this session. I booked 2 days and I was like, let's see how many songs we can get done. And we tracked 9 songs in 2 days, you know.
Nice. Yeah.
Part of that is, you know, hey, I don't have a week to give, you know. But the other part of it is comfort and, you know, creative direction and kind of a direction, not self-belief, but like a direction into what I wanted. You know, I was very sure of the references I was going for, what I wanted the record to sound like. And I knew all these players really well too. So whereas a record in the past, I was kind of sitting there kind of waiting for when we were ready to start the new song. Whereas this time it's like, all right, Aiden, you've got 10 minutes to go smoke. We're starting the next song. You know, like like chop chop. You know, hey, fix this and this. Let's cut another one.
Yeah,
there was a level of social comfort that we all had, and you know, a common goal. So we recorded this record really quickly. Did a little bit of overdubs afterwards. My sister sang on the record.
That's cool.
Which was really sweet. Make a record about family and have her be a part of it. But it felt like it came together quite quickly. And I think a part of that was being really confident in the songs and, you know, kind of the sonic references and knowing what I wanted the end goal to be generally. And then trusting these musicians to come in and fill the gaps and make this, you know, make it all come together. So it was certainly different than anything I've done before, but man, I'm so proud of it. And I think I look back at my catalog. I will look back at my catalog and be really proud of this record. You know, I really want to make timeless music. And I think there's a lot of universal truths, be it so specific, some of these lyrics and some of these images. I think there's a lot of, you know, universal and timeless truths that are on this record. So I'm really excited about it. And for the first time, I think in my life, I feel less precious about the end result of how well this record does.
Yeah.
In a season when it feels like more is on the line than ever, I oddly feel like, it's just a thing I'm doing, you know? And that kind of comfort is a really new and freeing feeling.
Yeah. That's awesome. That sounds like you had I think every album has like an energy to it, regardless of who's making or whatever. And like you can tell, like, is this the vibe of the whole album? So it sounds like you were in tune with like this is the vibe of the album. Here's what I need. Not what I need to sound like. Here's what I'm expecting these songs to sound like and how to represent these songs. And then you probably in the studio and we're like, yeah, this is what it needs to sound like. And here we go. And if anything frayed from that, you're like, nope, let's bring it back in. Let's tighten it back up. And then whenever you have that energy going into a creative session, you get to the end product and you're like, yeah, this is what I wanted. And like, do I want to sell 1 million copies? Of course I want to sell 1 million copies. But you did right by those songs. You did right by those recording sessions and you did right by you and your band.
Yeah. I think a lot of people feel like the recording is the ultimate version of the song. And I feel like I let go of that. I recorded some stuff at 15, 16 years old that I'm like, not my favorite recording, not what I would have done. But I still got to play those songs live. And they mean something to me now different than they did 10 years ago. And, they still have legs to move people, right? And so I've learned over time the song is much bigger than myself. And the song is much bigger than the recording itself, which is different and also liberating. I know that I'll go record some of these songs again one day as like an acoustic record or in a bluegrass format or something. And there's no final version. And I think that's pretty fun. So, and it definitely makes you, loosen your grip a little bit on what the recording will be.
It does. I got to record a couple times at whenever I was in undergrad at RCA Studio B, like in Nashville.
Yeah.
And like you literally place physical baffles to like, sound dampen all of that. And I think that was the first time I realized like how much of a recording can, or in my opinion, should be just capturing what the energy was in the room that day. So It's not like, here's this perfect representation of what a song is. It's perfectly tight and everything. It's like, no, man, you got 5 or 6 people in a room and they found the energy of the song and they played it. And here's what it was that day. And so it makes me listen to music a little bit differently because I also can have the perfectionist mindset of like, this is the most perfect version of the song. That's what they recorded. That's what they were aiming for. And it's like, no, it's just a version of it.
We live in a world where perfect music, quote unquote, perfect music is the norm, right? Like auto-tune stuff, melodined, guitar parts or whatever that just like fit perfectly. And if it's too perfect, it doesn't feel right, and, my favorite stuff is like the 70s Don Williams stuff that's like very unassuming. It sounds like he's sitting down, just like telling you a story, Those recordings are not perfect by any means, but man, they feel fantastic. And I think if you can come in with good songs and good musicians, you're kind of off to and a great engineer. I mean, Jimmy Bauman, who engineered this record, is just like, it's like, oh yeah, I know how to capture this thing. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's pretty fun. And I've learned to embrace kind of the messy feel of some of the stuff. I look back, I'm like, oh, I kind of wish I sang a different word there, hit that note perfectly. But I think in a world with, AI and studio tricks and whatever, that the more human stuff will stand the test of time and stick out in a good way.
Yep. I agree. I have the exact same mindset of if I hear a drum kit and the snare's perfectly on the 2 and the 4, I get suspicious. I'm like, no, like that's not, you can't, no one should like, it's too robotic. It's too programmed. And I'm like, where's the life? And it's easy to assume the more that perfection will stand the test of time and it'll be without criticism. I think it's a very easy assumption to make. As I get older, it's like, no, man, your imperfections are worth communicating and exploring.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's the reason why my favorite recordings are what they are. There's a great example. Johnny Cash's Walk the Line, I think it is. In between verses, he's, changing, how he's changing the note on which he delivers that. And you hear him humming, you remember this? That's him trying to find the note for the next verse, right?
I didn't know that. That's amazing. Yes.
He could have done it off the mic and it would have sounded, kind of like it was punched in or something.
Yeah.
But instead it's this live real thing that's like, oh, that's kind of the whole shtick on the song.
Yeah.
Like that's what makes it fantastic is you're toggling between these two things,
that's awesome.
It's really cool.
I think Bon Iver's album For Emma Forever Ago, like almost all of it is just slightly out of tune, but also recording in a cabin with an SM57, you're going to have some serious imperfection.
It's special. That's a great, listen, I loved it. I love that record when it came out. And it's because it feels real and feels cool and it's very him, and there's a lot of identity in it.
Yep.
And that's my favorite kind of music when you can hear something maybe sonically or lyrically that's like, oh, that's a unique perspective.
Yeah. How I end every episode is ask every guest a series of 5 questions. If you've listened to a couple episodes, you should have some framework for what they will be.
Yeah.
So the first question is, did you have any backup names for any of your kids? Like, did you have anything you almost named them?
Our first kid is named after my dad and my grandpa. We struggled with boy names.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been pretty cut and dry. I mean, I like don't giving a human a name is a big deal,
Huh?
and I'm much better at saying no to things, And so we didn't have like a lot of options. Like we'd just be rolling through names and rolling through ideas, and finally be like, that one seems to work, and then we'd kind of run with that. And I guess that's how I am creatively too. It's like
Really?
you find something that works and you chase it. That's kind of how it was with naming our kids.
Yeah.
But our oldest son is the first. My sisters have kids, my brother doesn't. So our son is the first to carry on the Csorba family name, which is a very sacred and
Yeah.
cool story for our family. And my grandfather's story is just amazing as this refugee from Hungary. So when we found out we were having a boy, it was like, we've got to pay homage to the family history. And so he's got a very Hungarian first name.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's sweet. And yeah, I guess with our second, just kind of a name we liked and felt classic, and we're still figuring out what to do for this girl. It feels like a lot of pressure.
It is. Well, I always thought that like girl names can be cute and whimsical and fun, and boy names are usually just either really straightforward because or they're just slightly quirky,
Yeah.
So it's like whimsical for girls, but boys is like, nope, Thomas, Frank, Jim.
Yeah.
It's these very standard names.
Yeah. Also with if our daughter gets married one day, there's a chance the last name changes, and that's a thing to think about. Anyway, there's a whole calculation.
There is. Next question. Do you have like a favorite TV, movie, or like dad in a book?
Dad in a book. That's cool. Atticus Finch has always been one. That's probably an easy answer. Wow, that's a really hard question. I don't read much fiction. I've never
you can do TV or movie also. More like just like fictional character dad, or if there's one that comes to mind for you,
Yeah. That is a really good hard question. Yeah, I mean Atticus is the easiest one for me to gravitate towards for sure. Andy Griffith, maybe.
Yeah. Classic answer.
Yeah.
Next question. What's your replacement curse word? What's like stub your toe, someone cuts you off in traffic? What do you say instead of the curse word? Or do you just say the curse word?
I don't say the curse word. Yeah, it depends on what it is I'm trying to replace.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've taught our kids so many different like weird words. Like instead of dad being stupid or dad doing something stupid, we call him a Ned, Kned, Ned, which is like something my high school buddy came up with. And to hear a 3.5-year-old call me a Ned, Dad, are you being a Ned? Are you being silly?
A Ned right now?
Yeah, that's pretty fun. But we try to keep it pretty clean. Obviously, they've heard. I backed into the garage door the other day and just said a bad word with my kids and my nieces in the car.
Fantastic. That's a great moment all around.
Yeah. My sister was there for it. She's like, it's okay. I've done it too. They've heard it before, and my sisters have kids a little older than ours. So they've gone before me and have made some headway. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything specific, but yeah, we try to avoid it. I mean, I just think cussing's kind of lazy, like.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah.
I'm an English major, and I work in my job and my mind it works around language, right? And so let's be more creative than just like throwing out a cuss word as a filler, right? Like there are better ways to explain things, and I think there's some tact that we can use in our language,
Yep. But also, whenever you back into the garage door, there's only 2 or 3 words they know how to say.
Yeah, totally. Totally, yeah.
But I'm with you. I'm like, no, if I want to curse, it's probably more about me being angry and wanting to just get to like blah, or something like that than actually think about how else I can approach the situation.
Yeah, we're definitely at the age with our oldest where it's like, you're going to get frustrated. This is how you get frustrated, so it's certainly front of mind, and kind of giving him a playbook. We've got to set a good example.
It's interesting to realize that like you need your kids to know who they are when they're angry and how to act when they're angry. is an interesting thing to coach. It's like, oh, you're pissed because you didn't get the toy. Here's how you act when you're pissed. Here's how you readjust, and all that is an interesting thing to coach.
Yeah. Yeah. And instilling them is like, yeah, we're going to get frustrated. That's part of the deal. But we don't hit we don't hit our brother. You don't rip things out of his hand. You don't scream, So yeah, we're learning as parents how to deal with that, and he's learning how to regulate emotion,
Pretty much. Yep.
Yeah.
And then next question, what's like your favorite toy or activity to play with your sons?
My oldest, I've gotten him to start playing golf, which is cool.
Yeah.
He's really bad. And I've played golf a lot as a kid. And now that he's old enough to come out, and we've got a little municipal golf course here in the neighborhood that, I walk. I think maybe it was Jack Nicklaus or Arnold Palmer that said it's a sad sight to see young, able-bodied kids riding in a golf cart. And I think that's a good point. So I'll go walk, 5 to 9 holes with my boy, and bring a bunch of snacks and let him run around and hit a couple golf shots. That's given me a lot of joy recently. They both love to be outside. We've got a park close by the house, and you just see their spirits lift when you can get out of the house. And we're not big toy people. We don't like, our house is pretty boring compared to some of their friends' houses.
Yeah.
We try to buy less but buy better, and I think a lot of it can become kind of a distraction. So we try to spend a lot of time outside, and our almost 2-year-old, 1.5-year-old is he loves swinging on the swing. Like, you got to hold him, because it's not like a bucket seat you can put him in, and he just loves it right now. So lots of being outside.
That's sweet. And then last question for you is, when you think about like your kids getting older, next phases of life and all that, is there like any moment of your kid's life where you're like, man, I can't wait until they enter into this phase of life. I can't wait to see them like enter into this aspect of their identity.
Yeah, that's very great question. When I look at my boys, I see not only cute boys, right?
Yeah.
Cute kids, but I see future husbands, maybe future dads. Like, I'm very conscientious of those future identities that they'll have.
Yeah.
I also think there's this whole thing that I just despise, which is when parents are like, just wait till they're 2, like terrible twos, just wait till they're 3,
teenagers one day.
Yeah, it's like, or like, I think it's Bill Burr or something. Somebody's like, oh, you've got a girl, just wait till she's a teenager. And Bill Burr's like, you only hear bad parents say that, which is like, kind of very Bill Burr. But
yeah.
I really hate the fear mongering that comes with each stage.
Yeah.
I really have enjoyed every new season. Every new step is like a whole new world of activity, a whole new world of personality. Things are changing so quickly. Now it's interesting because I see our oldest about to become a big brother to a little girl. So while he is, getting older in his own activities and his own preferences, and, maybe there's baseball practice, maybe there, all these activities and things, there's also a new identity that he will have as having a little sister, and so to see those roles come into play, to see our now middle child become a middle child, there's a nature versus nurture thing there, and pecking order and personality stuff, but that's all going to influence it. But man, I'm just so excited. This whole ride is such a blast, and every stage of life, I think, just gets better. It's just more full and more fun and more crazy.
Yeah.
Just grateful for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then last thing for you, just moment for self-promotion. How do we find your music, Instagram, all that stuff? Remind us when your album's coming out, all that good stuff.
Yeah, the record is called Tender Country. It comes out May 22nd. You can pre-order the record now. I don't know when this will air, but, the record's out there. I got vinyl and a bunch of merch and tour dates here and there. I'll be in Boston next week, I think. So I'm traveling a good bit when it makes sense. My name is Thomas Csorba, which is difficult to spell, but you'll figure it out. And I'm everywhere I'm supposed to be, all the social media and my website. And I'm just thrilled to get to have a platform to share music and to have team members, a great manager and a great label team that's, helping me share this music with the world. Just really grateful and really excited for what's to come of it. And anybody who'd like to come along for the ride, hop on board, come on.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, man. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for your time to do this. If you are ever out in Denver area, I'll try to keep up with your tour schedule and see if you come out
Yeah,
to Denver. I'll come heckle you at a show, all that good stuff.
please, please, please. We need more hecklers out there in the world.
That's right. Someone just to be nonsense in the crowd. Something, you know?
That's right. Keep it interesting.
That's right. But yeah, man, go enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time.
Much obliged. Thanks so much.
Perfect. See you, Thomas.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at the Imperfect Dads Podcast. And make sure to give us 5 stars wherever you listen to us. Music, editing, and production is all done by me. Make sure to tune in on Mondays and most Thursdays for new episodes. This podcast is part of the Never Effaced Network. Make sure to go to neverefacednetwork.com to learn more about them.